How's it going, everyone? It's Johnny Beard here, and this is episode 6 of the Streamer Stories podcast with myself, Johnny Beard. And our sixth guest on the sixth episode today is the Recluse. Here he is. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how's it going? Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. Whenever you contact me about it, I'm very honored to be included into this. There have been some awesome streamers that you've already interviewed. I've gotten to add to my follower list or list of people I'm following. Excuse me.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
that's good.
But I am very grateful, and also at the same time, I think what you're doing is really awesome. So hopefully, I can continue on in helping with what you're doing.
Definitely, dude, and you're a great streamer. So likewise, I'm sure everyone else is in the same boat. So please give Recluse a follow, _Recluse on Twitch. But I must say, you look great in uniform. You look amazing.
So, I try to be as professional as possible. So it is a duty day today. So otherwise, I try to be wearing something more casual. But yeah. It is what it is.
Fantastic. Well, it adds to it. It adds to it, mate. It adds to it. So please bear with me. I have got a bit of a cough and a cold, so ignore me where you can. But
no worries.
This is not about me. This is about you. So we'll start at the beginning then, mate. So tell us, what is the first your first memories of video games growing up?
Man, that's a good question. So I am 35 years old, so a lot of my video game early memories have to do a lot with the original Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I have an older brother, so my most earliest memories that I can think of, it's pretty unique because I remember the TV we had was one of those. It had 12 or 13 buttons, and so that was the way that you would change the channels by just pressing the button. And then on the back was this little switch where it was channel 3 or channel 4 was the auxiliary. So I remember playing Super Mario on Nintendo. Oddly enough, some of my earliest memories of video gaming have to do with taking the Nintendo cartridge out and blowing on it, and then you would have to put it right on the lip a certain way to press down on it to where that was the trick to get it to work. But I do remember Sega. I think one of the first times that my brother kind of took me under his wing. He's 6 years older than me. Whereas we played Mortal Kombat.
Oh wow!
And that was always one of the ones where we couldn't let mom and dad know that I was playing Mortal Kombat. I still remember the blood code, ABACABB.
Oh, brilliant.
so we would. I remember it was one of those where we'd shut the door, and then all of a sudden just put in the blood code, and we'd play Mortal Kombat. But yeah, I think a lot of my earliest memories have to do with Nintendo, Sega, and yeah, with my brother for sure.
So again, just because you mentioned your age of you're 35, so you probably remember then possibly about when Mortal Kombat came out and the whole blood code thing was a huge controversy at the time.
Yes, very much so.
So
yes.
So how did you find out about the code?
Honestly, my brother. I know it's a scapegoat just to say, oh hey, my older brother found out about it. I don't know if it was any. I didn't personally read anything in any magazines or anything, but I know that would probably be the only outlet for that information to get out. Because this is before internet or using the internet or anything like that. So it was one of those where I genuinely don't know. I just remember the code. Yeah.
No, but it's true. But again, there's so many of those. I love 90s codes. All the codes of the 90s were so good. Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those mysterious things again because we didn't have much internet, like you said. So, but going back then, so you mentioned was it the Nintendo or the Super Nintendo that you first had?
The Nintendo, the actual Nintendo.
Nice.
So that was one of the original ones of it. I'm trying to remember because there was RBI baseball. So one of the things about it as well, when it comes to my personal history in video games is so I did play sports growing up. I played college baseball for 5 years, and so there's a large section of my video gaming life that has to do with sports games as well. So NBA Jam, RBI baseball, a lot of the original cartridge-based sports games. I spent a lot of time playing those as well.
So what was your you played a lot of those on the Nintendo as well. So when it comes to Super Mario, then how would you find that difficult when you were younger, or how did you beat it?
I never beat it. I never beat it.
No?
I would remember. I'm trying to think earliest memories. I remember getting the raccoon tail. I remember flying all over the place, dying all over the place. I don't think I ever beat the game, to be honest.
I haven't been. I'm not a Mario guy. I'm a Sonic guy. But yeah.
Battletoads. I just remembered Battletoads,
Hey.
and I want to say that was one of the first like fights me and my brother got into playing video games because there's always I guess I was holding him back, and I could just now I'm starting to have these the flood of memories because
Yeah.
there's a lot of it was like co-op games we would play, and then I would just always end up being the one that was like just either oh my god now I'm trying to think of these other different games where
Excellent.
the map would have to move together with both players like in unison progressing through the map, and I would always end up being like way far off, and he'd just be yelling at me because like he's pressing the issue here on this part of the map, and I'm still stuck way over here trying to like find like how do I get over here.
Good stuff. Did you ever play any other multiplayer games with your brother?
So yes, but that pretty much happened when we were older. It's actually pretty neat because now I'm having like a lot of these like different little memories pop up because like there was a moment where we were big into Battlefield 3,
Hmm.
and I believe I was away at college, and so it was like one of the ways that me and him would spend digital time together, and we were doing man, I can't remember the name. It was like online. I think Rush. I think was the name of the mode
Okay.
where you would be on one part of the map, and then you would run, complete objectives, and then other parts of the map would open up, and it would take probably about 30, 45 minutes to complete each one of these levels. But yeah, there was a lot of those multiplayer moments with him. So that's. But outside of that, we played a lot of Civilization together. But
Nice.
that's
Yeah. Yeah. Goodness. So yeah. So you've been playing with him pretty much your whole life then. So that's really good. That's really
yes.
awesome. You mentioned Battletoads as well on the Sega Genesis. So whatever Sega Genesis games did you play?
Whew. I think they're doing construction outside, so I
That's all right.
apologize.
No worries, no
There's
worries.
noise. Man, Sega. So Sega was actually like the console that I spent a lot of my early childhood playing. So I would think that. Let me try to remember. Sonic for sure. Played some, like I said, NBA Jam, early Madden football games. There is, I can't remember the name of this. I can't remember the name of this game, but it has something to do with like a. I don't know if you can hear the background noise or not.
Don't worry,
They're
okay.
doing some kind of construction.
Don't worry. Honestly, it's fine.
I can't remember the name of the game.
No,
I
that's
cannot
all right.
remember the name of the game.
Let's talk about
But I just
Sonic
remember.
then.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
So what are your favorite Sonic games? So did you have one that you went to a lot?
Honestly, the first one's really the only one that I spent too much time playing. I've watched some streamers play some of the other Sonic games, more or less like memes nowadays. I think like Sonic Adventures is like the 3D one. But the first Sonic the Hedgehog was really the only one that I spent a significant amount of time playing. I remember the underwater levels just traumatizing me.
Yes.
I could never get the air bubbles. And then that music, the music would have that slow progression to where it's like you're about to run out of air. So,
oh man, yeah, every time. And do you remember the code for Sonic 1?
I don't.
No, that's no test. Don't worry. But yeah, so Sonic. So you mentioned Sonic, and you mentioned a lot of obviously sports games as well. Obviously with your background clearly. So is there like a favorite Madden game that you go to, like obviously of any era? Because again, there's lots of
Madden 10.
Madden 10. There's always
10.
one, isn't
Madden
it?
10.
Every time, everyone. It's like it's like me. I don't know if you play FIFA from a football soccer perspective, but there's always a FIFA I go to. But yeah, it's the same with any EA game, isn't it? So
yes,
Madden 10.
Yeah, Madden 10. Madden 10. That was the game. Oh my god, that was. I spent way too much time playing that game. And one of the things I really enjoyed about sports games, which I honestly haven't played any like sports games in a while, but it was like the franchise dynasty modes. I would always like to build a team, and then like my imagination of it would be like, I'm creating this culture. I'm doing something for this imaginary city, and like I'm just developing the roster and then all that, and having this whole thing, doing the draft and all sort of things. and like to me, Madden 10, it introduced like a different style of gameplay than previous Maddens, and the way that they did the franchise mode was like, to me, it pushed all the right buttons.
Nice, excellent, excellent. So you mentioned obviously the early consoles that you played. Did you stick with console gaming for much of your life, or?
So for up until probably about a year and a half ago, I was exclusively console and PlayStation for life. Big PlayStation fan, and up until like all the travel with the military, it necessitated a PC or laptop type of gaming. And so like right now I'm just playing off of a Razer laptop. So I've had to what do they call it, the PC Master Race, gaming race or something. Yeah. So I've had to kind of like slowly go towards that, which at all honesty, I love the PlayStation. When it comes to the PlayStation Xbox wars, I'm always, for the PlayStation, but the PC is very superior.
Yeah.
I understand why now.
We got it on record.
I understand why now. So
yeah, I get it. I'm similar actually. I've always been PlayStation, but yeah, you can't be PC. You can't, just in terms of it's so flexible. It's just too flexible. Too
powerful. Like yeah, there's so many things you can do. Like it's incredible. I wish there would be a lot more like cross-platform type of formats. Like that way I could play with some people that are console based and so forth. So
yeah, I think that's something that is finally starting to grow now, isn't it? I think if I'm not mistaken, Rocket League opened those doors, but starting to see it now. Fingers crossed it continues. So yeah, you mentioned that you were pretty much console most of your life, really. So from the NES, sorry, to the Sega Genesis, did you then go to PlayStation 1? Did you, or was there anything in between? Yeah.
So I would say that like, even though like with my early childhood there was a video game history, I really didn't start like becoming like probably spending too much time on video games until I had got a PlayStation. That was a extremely valuable, a memorable Christmas present, and it was one of those. And I know, like on my stream, I've told the Final Fantasy VIII story a number of times. Where, pardon me, I had like a little hiccup. Where I was probably around like 10, 11, 12 years old. So the PlayStation hit me at that moment of, I guess, coming of age type of time in my life. So that's whenever I kind of started becoming more like cognitively capable of understanding stories and playing longer games and actually learning what it was I was trying to accomplish. So in the game.
Yeah. So you mentioned it as a Christmas present. What was the first game you played on the PlayStation when you opened up that big box as a kid?
MLB 98. I believe it might have been like, I don't think it was the show at the time, but I think it was MLB 98, which is a Major League Baseball game. And so that was because I remember playing that because you have to understand, like, with my personal history, baseball is a significant factor in my life. So during that time, for sure, it was sports games, and yeah, that's because I remember, oddly enough, like thinking back these memories of the original PlayStation, just the black disc, just like whenever you look on the other side of the disc, and I think there's some wrestling games as well. Like, WCW. I want to say it's like Thunder. I think they had one. There's also like a good chapter of, and because now when I think of the wrestling games, I'm thinking of like the Nintendo 64.
Oh right, yeah. So did you play No Mercy? Everyone played No Mercy.
Not No Mercy, but I've had WCW NWO World Tour was a big one. And oh my God, I can't believe I completely forgot about my Ocarina of Time Super Mario 64 playthrough. Those two games are probably like the first two games where it was an actual, like, I invested a significant amount of time starting, and it took a while for me to complete the game. And I think Ocarina of Time was like, probably, I haven't put too much thought into it, but now that I'm actually thinking about it, probably was like one of the most like important video games for me to play that actually formed my appreciation for like story-based RPG style of gaming.
Mm.
That was a lot. I've only played it once, and it was that, and I have so many fond memories of it.
Excellent.
Oddly enough, I don't remember having any issues with the water temple. I don't know. I know that that's become it's become a meme now,
Yeah,
like how like difficult. But I don't know.
So did you have the PlayStation before the Nintendo 64 or similar time?
So the 64 is actually my brother's. Because that one I'm extremely aware of because I can remember plenty of times him getting irritated at me just playing it. And I remember that the controller was real weird. But the PlayStation was mine. So like that would be what I would say is like my first actual real console was the PlayStation. Because everything else was always his. I want to say this because I know I'm like blabbing about my brother. I do have a younger sister as well.
Yeah. just in case she's watching.
So I do want to throw that out there before it turns into this whole like thing where I get like all these text messages where she's like, what? You know, so, and there's plenty of fond memories playing with my little sister as well. So
there we go. It's been said now. It's been said.
Yes.
So okay. So if you had to tell us what your favorite video game was, what is it and why?
Final Fantasy VIII. It's without any hesitation. The impact that game had on me. So I understand there's a lot of criticism with Final Fantasy VIII, and I'm not saying not all the criticism is unjust. Some of it very much so is my roommates waking up. So.
No worries.
So I want to say it was right around Christmas of 98, 99. I think it was like 99.
Yeah.
And I remember the commercials coming out, and it just blew me away. Now, I had only watched someone play Final Fantasy VII, so I really didn't have any Final Fantasy experience other than just like, oh, wow, what's this game? Oh, wow, it looks really cool. So Final Fantasy VIII comes out, and that was like one of those like asking Santa for, I know I probably found out about Santa later than most people, but asking Santa for like, Final Fantasy VIII as a big Christmas present. I get it. Didn't realize like, oh my God, it's 4 discs. I remember playing it, and you know what? And this is a memory with my little sister.
Yay!
Because she would watch me play it, and so it'd be one of those where getting home from school, and I would play it, and it was a game that I didn't understand any of the mechanics at all. I tried playing it, and then I would end up. I probably spent months and months and months playing that game, and then eventually things started clicking, and I really look at Final Fantasy VIII as the game that developed me in terms of like my skills as an actual gamer, because like once I started loosely understanding the junction system, loosely kind of started following the story, because like time compression and it's pretty out there concept, especially like a 12-year-old trying to understand the like what the Final Fantasy VIII story is trying to tell. But that was it had to be, without a doubt, the first real like games that I started, failed, stuck with it, and then completed it, and then eventually get to a point where I had learned so much of that game, all the ins and outs of it, that I would go back and just the replay value for me is infinite, and I still play it today.
You certainly do. Certainly do.
It's just a very very important game in my life, and so whenever I think back, especially like the memories of that Christmas getting it, the memories of just all the amount of time learned, because I would be like, this is whenever we did have the internet, dial-up internet, and I remember I printed off like a guide, and it was like 200 something pages. And so I would be in class, like in school, and it's one of those where I had it like in a folder, so instead of like studying like history or anything like that, I would just kind of just be reading over, like getting like the seat exam test scores that way I can cheat on it later, and just be like, okay, well that way I can get to level 10, and learning all the little different locations, and just trying to do my best with like learning how to play the game and beat the game. And so there's just it's definitely a staple in my life in terms of like video games, like important video games.
100%. It's funny you mentioned school, because I've got similar memories as well of printing certain things off from, I don't know, a few years ago. I used Game FAQs when I was a kid, and still do to this day, and that's where you got all the guides from for me anyway. Printing off discreetly putting into my I did that.
Yeah.
Just because you mentioned obviously the practicalities, I suppose, of the of Final Fantasy VIII as the junction system, etc. How long? I mean, how far did you get into the game before you realized you weren't quite? How can you put it? Because there's a moment, isn't there, where you're like, "Am I playing this right?" When you're not familiar with the junction system. How far did you get?
So there was always, I can always remember whenever I was playing it, there was a moment in the game where, because I had countless restarts, countless attempts at restarting it, whether it be something as like arbitrary as renaming my character or missing like drawing a GF or having like going back and reading the guide like, oh, I was supposed to do that, didn't do that, and just abandon the whole game and just do a new game. And being that young, I definitely fell in love with the visuals. 'Cause, I mean, at the time, those were like groundbreaking visuals.
Yes.
And so it was like I want to say that I can remember looking on the back of the case, like that way, one of the ways that it was advertised is like over an hour of CGI animations like inside the game. And I want to say that it was getting past the Dalit, which in hindsight is very early on in the game. Getting past Dalit was impossible. I remember not knowing that I was supposed to escape and just being stuck in this infinite battle against the XATM. That was a moment that broke me when I was younger. And then just kind of like chipping away and progressing on. I'd never really completed disc 1 until probably a couple months of playing the game and just countless restarts. But I want to say there was like this accidental fight I had a long time ago with Diablos.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that was whenever I just couldn't get past. And I felt like it was like a mandatory thing because like you'd have to like go to the item list and then actually select the magic lamp. And you basically volunteer for this battle. And so it was one of those things where I remember never getting past Diablos. And so I would spend a lot of effort like trying to get myself ready for this one battle.
Yeah.
And I wanted, somewhere along the way, I had some sort of eureka moment where it was just like, oh, wow. If the GFs learn these abilities, then you can junction magic to it, and then my strength goes up. My HP goes up. Oh, this is how this mechanic works.
Yes.
Okay. And so it was a lot of trial and error and a lot of failure. my 12-year-old mind, it took a while. Like, and I don't mean for this story to make it seem like, oh, hey, in a matter of weeks. No. We're talking months. We're talking like the pretty much like the rest of the school year. I was just trying to figure out how to actually play this game.
That's
so
awesome.
maybe it was all of that effort and just that perseverance is how or why that game ended up like having such like a very impactful, meaningful, just spot in my heart.
Absolutely, that's amazing. The reason why I mention it is because that's my ex-wife now. We are broken up, but when we were growing up, I mean, we had very different experiences with Final Fantasy, but she didn't understand the junction system when she was growing up. And she told me that she got all the way to Sorceress Adele with basic. She didn't even draw Siren. She got that far with 3 GFs. I'm like, that's crazy. That's mental. Because again, it doesn't really explain it very well how to do the junction system. It tells you, but it doesn't tell you in layman's terms. It tells you such complicated ways. But it's all about the grind.
It definitely is. And I found myself because now that I do like a lot of the speed running for Final Fantasy VIII, and I find myself like whenever like I'm just on Twitch and just kind of looking for some sort of just entertainment, I'll just kind of click the Final Fantasy VIII game logo, and so it sends me to the people who are streaming Final Fantasy VIII. And so I'll look through, and if I just kind of just lurk around and watch, and then there's like every now and then I'm sitting there, I'm just like, oh man, they have no clue about this, and just I'm looking and seeing basically all the different ways in which you can be on paper underprepared, but you legitimately can progress through the game. So I I think that I was probably a part of that category too, where I was accidentally successful throughout the game.
Hmm. Amazing. Okay, so talking about family, I know you mentioned your older brother and your younger sister and family. Did you play with your parents at all, or was it purely like a sibling thing?
No, purely sibling. We tried to get my father to play Telltale's The Walking Dead.
Oh, right.
Uh, so because we wanted to see him make the choices. And video games just really aren't his thing. He's like an old school refinery worker. So it's just one of those to each their own. I think everybody finds ways to consume and entertainment,
Yeah.
and just video games weren't anything he grew up with, and it's not his thing. My mom, honestly, and she has like this little trophy she got was like a top Candy Crush player.
It's games. It's
So,
games.
those would be the games. Really, the only earliest memory I have of my mom playing a game was a game on Facebook. What was it? Farmville, I
Oh
think.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm talking like 10 plus years ago. Farmville, like the early ones, and so I think this is like yeah, I think that's probably like whenever she started playing, just like doing the mobile games. So
Mm. So, do you have any favorite video game stories growing up? I know you've mentioned a few already, but have you anything else come to mind about favorite stories about games?
okay, so you know what? I will retract a statement about my father in the video games because he plays golf. So whenever I was growing up, I played what's called select baseball, which is basically you're on like this little traveling baseball team that's like a showcase to these different colleges trying to earn a scholarship. And so I was under 18 at the time, so my dad would be the one who would drive me to these different cities, and we'd go all around Texas, all the way all around Louisiana, playing these tournaments. And I would bring my at the time it was the PlayStation 2, and we were playing Tiger Woods in the hotel room. So he did get into the Tiger Woods video game, but this is probably like a 20-year-old memory.
Yeah.
But video game memories. So the Walking Dead memory, I
Mm.
would be remiss if I don't include my sister's decision to ruthlessly sacrifice some of the party members. We still get onto her about that, where it's like if we're ever in a zombie apocalypse, because like I want to say the character's name was like Ben, and spoilers, I apologize, but like you're holding on to him, and like there's this horde of zombies that are at the bottom, and so he's just telling us like, "Hey, just let me go," and you can choose to save him,
Yeah, yeah.
or you can choose to let him go. She had no hesitation. Boop, let him go. Died. And we're just like, what? Like, you just it's like, well, he said let him go, so dead weight. Like, oh my god,
Wow. Okay. You learn a lot about people.
right, right. Oh
uh,
man, there's so many video game memories. Let's see here. So there was a there was a game that my brother and I were playing online, and it was the first time I ever heard I apologize, but I don't mean to like say a bad word on here,
yeah, fine.
but it's the first time I ever heard the term wanker.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah.
so my brother and I were playing online. I believe it was Battlefield, and we were doing something, and we're disabling these little locations like bombs and stuff. And so the time's running. This may have been Call of Duty actually. I don't know. It's one of those shooters, and we were running through this town, and we're disabling the bombs, and there was like just a few seconds left. No, we were defending the location. The other team was disabling them. And so you would see people would kind of like crowd up together to like fight off the horde. And so it got to where like we were like on the last one. And this is where friendly fire exists in this game.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he was doing something, and he went to go throw a smoke grenade, but threw an actual frag grenade into this room.
Oh, okay.
Kills everybody. And then it was one of those where me and him were just like, I'm just like, what'd you do? And we're just cracking up laughing. So he wipes out our entire team. And so like there's like this moment of like right after you die, you can still see the gameplay happening. And so you see like the other team move in, and they just post up on the little location, and they win the game. And so my brother and I, we were like on one of these teams. All of a sudden, people pop into our little chat. It's like, "Fucking Waker, what are you doing? Oh my god!" And it was one of those where I was laughing so hard. And I just remember it was like one of those where it's just like, dude, like you have to own that one.
Yeah,
Just
that's on
all
you.
of a sudden, just turned on the team and just killed everybody at the last minute. That's a very fond memory. Uh, honestly, man, I could probably, as soon as I start thinking of one memory, I'm gonna start
Yeah,
just like rambling on with all these different other memories.
yep. Fire away if you want. It's your hour, my dude. So, yeah. I mean, if you want me, so if another question I was going to ask you is, what games are you playing right now? What's your go-to at the moment?
So right now, obviously Final Fantasy VIII is going to always be in the back pocket. And with the Final Fantasy VIII speedrunning community, they're constantly creating like new challenges and different little mods and different ways to play the game. So that's always something that's there. But currently, I've been doing a Mass Effect playthrough on my stream. I got the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, so started off with the first one, making my way all the way through the third. And most recently, whenever I was in Alaska, so I didn't have like any internet service, so I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2 offline.
Right, yeah.
So those two have been my go-to games lately. And if I find myself just feeling very not wanting to be very action oriented, I'll play Civilization 6. Let's see here. My brother's been trying to get me to play Stellaris. He keeps on talking about Stellaris. And every now and then I'll pop in like on an indie game because I know like the Untitled Goose Game was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That Dragon Cancer. Ooh, man.
Oh, I need to play that. I've heard a lot about that. It's supposed to be.
Oh,
yeah, I need to play it.
I cried on stream, man.
Oh, you played it online? You played it on Twitch?
Yes, I did.
Oh man,
I did.
Oh, I wish I saw that.
I did.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. I don't want to say anything about it because I don't know a lot about it. I know the topic obviously, but yeah, apparently it's a heart wrencher.
I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah.
I think it is a story worth experiencing. It definitely is. It definitely is. Understanding the details surrounding the game, I think makes it easier for people that are very like, if you need like high end graphics and types of like interactive gameplay, if the lower block poly like animation kind of turns you off or anything, I would just say just understand the actual development and the reasons behind the game, and then that way you can kind of suspend that criticism, because that would be really the only critique on the game, is just like it just seems like an unfinished graphically designed game, but that's part of the intent. So if you're able to embrace that, oh my god, I've yet to come across a story as powerful as that. That was,
wow.
It's an experience. It's an experience I think everyone should experience.
Yeah. I need to play it. My next question. I asked this question a lot, and it's gonna be interesting asking yourself because of your work, your duty in the Navy. But I'll ask a question. It's if you were stuck on a remote island and you only had to play you're only allowed to have 3 games. What would they be? I suppose that's a very interesting dynamic for yourself compared to most of us, dare I say, civvies. I work for one of my colleagues is an army guy. He calls us King Civvies. he's a lovely guy, but that's what we. So again, interesting question I think for yourself. What would it be?
Well, I would say there's only 3 games to play. I would say Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a like important game for me. It's hard for me to not choose a Civilization game.
Yeah.
I've put in hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of hours over the course of countless years on Civilization. It's always one of my it's a good game for me to kind of like just relax and go to. And the third game, man, that's a tough one. Part of me wants to pull up my little video game list and and look at the games. I think that I'm probably very biased at the moment, but I would probably say and I'm probably gonna regret this answer because like as soon as I finish answering this question, I'll be like, oh, why didn't I say this? Why,
Yeah.
why didn't I say this?
Always the way.
I'll choose Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
Um,
Three very different games though.
The absolute freedom,
Hmm.
the sheer scope of it. Like one of the things that I found myself playing Red Dead 2 is I will, and this happened whenever I was on detachment recently, where I wouldn't even progress in the story. I would just load up the game, just wander around the wilderness, just taking the sights, the sounds. I love the music. Do some hunting,
Hmm.
do a lot of chores around the camp, just talk with people, and then I would probably put in like 2 hours of gameplay, having progressed nothing with the story, and it would just be me existing in that little world. And I've found myself where I've like fallen in love with the little gang. I've gotten invested in everybody's storylines, and it's one of those where I just really enjoy spending time vicariously as Arthur Miller, but just being in that little world, just to kind of just relax and just like it's like I feel like I'm able to unwind and just not even progress in the story, just leisurely do chores and roam around.
No, in fairness, you've chosen three very detailed, long, different games there. So I think that's a great selection. To be fair, I really think that's great.
I appreciate it.
So again, we talk about yourself in the Navy. I mean, how is that dynamic then for yourself? You got video games. You're a huge video game fan, and then obviously you got duty, different types of duty as well, obviously. So where do you find that time for gaming between your work, if you don't mind me asking?
No problem at all. At all honesty, so the probably like 95% of my streaming start times happens after I get off work. So I work nights, and depending on the workload that we have, because it's one of the things with the military, it's like the you get off work whenever the work is finished. So it's a different type of structure in terms of like the labor demands. So I will get off work. Come into my barracks room and take a shower, change clothes, and then usually just get online to stream. So it's really weird because when I look at like my channel analytics and my metrics, I have a significant international viewing community, and
Yeah,
I think it has such a large part to do with the fact that it'll be like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning over here, and then it works out well with the international viewers because it fits in better with their time.
yeah, yeah.
And so it's kind of just like, well, I'm up at the weirdest, oddest hours because my entire sleep schedule is dictated based on my work schedule.
Mm.
And I go into work at night, and then whenever I get off, it's well past midnight. And so it's like just one of those where it's like, well, to answer the question where I find the time, it's kind of just like, well, whenever I get off work, you mix the stuff, a little bit of energy
Mm.
from working. And I genuinely enjoy streaming. It to me, it's the people such as yourself, where I've gotten to meet all these different people and to develop and create these, like I call them, digital friendships or digital relationships.
Yeah.
But there are a significant number of people that I know it's weird because from my point of view, they exist as like little screen names, and you see these people reoccurring, with each, showing up in each stream and then providing a type of humor or whatever type of commentary, and you grow to look forward to it. And so I know that people call it like community building and so forth, but it's like these little digital friendships.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to quantify it, and I don't mean to quantify it the way to make it sound like negative. It's
No,
just,
no, no.
to me, it's the most like literal way I can explain it.
Yes.
Where I, after I get through with work, and I'm spending time with all these people that I work with, then it's like one of those where I want to go spend time with my friends outside of work.
Yeah.
And I have really, really grown a strong affinity to the little community that pops in, and you're very much a part of that as well.
Oh, thank you.
You and Sue, and so it's like one of those. I I don't think that it's not that I feel like I have to make time to stream.
Mm.
I just genuinely want to stream.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then
yeah.
it's just one of those where it's like, oh, hey, I have time right now, so let's go ahead and fire it up, and just and then before I know it, I'm I've been streaming for X amount of hours. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, amazing. So, what made you actually? How long have you been streaming for, and what made you consider streaming?
So I didn't know Twitch existed until a few years ago. My sister was really into Twitch, and so she is probably the most educated person about The Last of Us, the video game.
Oh
Has
right, yeah.
played it probably played it like 50 something times, and she was following. I think his name's like Anthony something. I can't remember his name, but he was like a big time Last of Us streamer. And I was hanging out with her one weekend at her apartment, and so she was watching it, and I was like, "What is this?" And so she was explaining what Twitch was to me. And at the time, I was actually working for an environmental laboratory uh, down back in Southeast Texas, and so I had a PlayStation 4, and I oddly enough, it was Red Dead Redemption 2.
All right, yeah.
So there was a thing that you could do with on the PlayStation 4 where you could stream straight from the PlayStation 4. But I didn't have like a webcam. I didn't have anything. I had like a little headset that had a microphone on it. But like it was just very, 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 very basic. So I gave it a shot. So I created a little screen name. Just went ahead and did it, and like because like the way that you could see someone whenever they're streaming from their PlayStation, it has like the gameplay, and then like there's a little icon on the top right, and then like you see like the red dot that says they're live, and then there's a chat that's like right below it. So basically, all I was doing was I would just get on and kind of just say, "Hey, what's going on?" and have like no viewers,
Yeah.
one viewer. Like my sister would pop in, and so it's basically just kind of like I would just be chatting with her, playing the game, and then eventually somebody would just randomly pop in, so chat with them, and I did that for a couple weeks, and then I just because I started seeing in this, and I want to say this is probably like 2018, and so I probably only did 4 or 5 streams, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, it didn't hook me back then, and so I just didn't really put much effort or mind towards it at all, and then I would say I started properly streaming, like what I do now. Probably February was like whenever things kind of started kicking off, because I started getting more and more involved with I started working nights, and so my like what I was viewing as entertainment, whenever I go watch Twitch, I started watching like I don't know about to name drop some people here, like Cyanide Sugar, Aguskin JP, Bert, like the whole Final Fantasy VIII speedrun community. Soph was like one of my first original streamers to actually watch and follow, and they all played Final Fantasy VIII. And so then they were doing speedruns, and so then it was just like the whole speedrunning Final Fantasy VIII captivated me, because it was like I was being exposed to a completely different side of this game, and the method of playing that game was just, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And so then I started becoming more active with the community as a viewer, and then eventually I started getting those little thoughts in my head, and I'm just like, I could do this. I could play this game. I could stream a little bit. And I've always had this idea of, if I was going to, like, similar to how like you had this idea of doing a podcast, sit down, talk, get to know people, and so forth. I've always had it's similar in the sense that I want to talk and get to know people. But like one of the things that I wanted to always do is have some sort of avenue where it's like, hey, we can just talk about anything and share ideas. And so I was like, I would go to all these different people's streams, and there's all like a full list of rules, which I understand completely. It makes a lot of sense. And if it's your Twitch channel, it's your Twitch channel. So whatever you want to, however you want it to operate that's you. However you want to do it, fair game for everybody. I looked at it as like, I want to have like a little place where, hey, anything goes. And just kind of like have something just wild and chaotic.
Yeah.
So I got
we'll get to that. So tell us about Lurker's Paradise, because Lurker's Paradise is very much the Recluse, isn't
Oh my
it?
god.
Where did that come
Oh my
from, and
god.
how did it evolve?
It honestly, I don't even know the origin. I came up with that name being a smartass, like really.
It
like,
worked.
it was one of those where like there was so I had kind of started seeing the views go up a little bit,
Yeah,
but then like my chat met like there was nothing happening in my chat,
yeah, yeah.
and so then I like it was one of those where you because like whenever you start off streaming, I would recommend don't pay attention to numbers because it'll frustrate you because everybody starts off it's very 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 small. You know, it takes a little while for things to get going, and if you're caught up on those numbers, it'll like bum you out.
Yeah.
So I probably started paying attention to the numbers a little bit before I should have because I started looking. I was like, huh, you know what? I would like to do this. Wish I had more of this happening and have these different little things. And then I started seeing things kind of tick up, but they were like lopsided in the way they were ticking up. And so I was just like, man, I want my chat to do this. I want my chat to do this. And so it was like one of those where I was getting viewers, but the chat wasn't
Yeah.
popping the way that I thought it was. And so I was like, well, I mean, I guess I got a lot of lurkers. And so then that's whenever I started kind of looking into like all the different little things, where people are from or like what regions they're from. Like, because like with like Streamlabs, you can look at like see the average view time like a person has and like how many total hours they've watched. And so just like okay, well, I mean, if this is a place people like to come enjoy lurk, I just instead of trying to like not manipulate the thing and instead of fighting it, I was just like, well, you know what, just go ahead and embrace it. Like if this is the place where people come just to lurk, hey, you know what, I just went ahead and just embraced it. And so I was like, hey, this is Lurker's Paradise. This is where people come just to lurk. And and then after a while I started seeing it just continue to grow. And then I was just like, hey, you know what, I guess I might have accidentally stumbled onto something here. And I then just full openly embraced it. And
Damn
so
right.
now it's like yeah, as you say, like Lurker's Paradise is like definitely like a recluse dream thing. And now I couldn't be more proud of it. So
Yeah, it's
it's
great.
definitely
So when it comes to like I said, what also is the Recluse, you got such a chill atmosphere in your streams. I love hanging out with your streams. Like you said, Lucas Paradise, it's exactly exactly what it is. But the other aspect of it, like you just kind of reflected before, despite the fact that you got this calm, lurkers, chilled vibe, you've got this popping of gifts, should we say, which is another part of the Recluse. Let's be honest, which is a great part of you. So tell us a bit about that. About like how does that work? That dynamic of it being such a chill atmosphere, and then boom.
honestly, there really isn't any sort of like premeditated like design with like, this how this whole thing's kind of evolved. It more or less just kind of it's things that I find entertaining and interesting.
Yes.
Like it's a lot of these ideas I have in my head where how I would like, or so I would say that there's some kind of vision that I have of what the stream, what I would like it to operate and look like, and how it would function. And so then I try to come up with. I'm not that tech savvy at all, so that's why I'm trying to find all these different little ways to make it happen. And I try to basically think of ways in which would be, if I was a viewer, would be fun, and incorporate that into my stream. Now, as you alluded to, the gifts are controversial.
I was going to say, you haven't had a ban yet on it, have you? Surely not.
Yes, I have.
You have.
I've been suspended one time. I've been suspended one time.
Let's
but I
say
think that was
it's
more.
not safe for work. That's all we'll say. But you get the gist.
Yeah, I got suspended. I got reported, and I believe that was more of like the music video stream. And
right.
I played the The No No music video.
Oh man, do I want to know? Is it one of your top five?
Oh, of course. Oh, it's Hurricane 30 Seconds to Mars.
All right,
It's definitely
fair enough.
it's not meant to be streamed.
So,
But
sorry, it's because I'm sorry to cut you across there. It's because you also
no, you're right.
that's another thing about your streaming. Obviously, we talk about gaming, and because most of the things we do is gaming, but you incorporate music and YouTube and all that into your stream as well. So tell us again about that. About how that became
A lot. Yeah, a lot of it. It's so whenever I'm streaming, genuinely, my motivations are I'm wanting to interact with my digital friends, as I said. I'm also wanting to play the game. I enjoy playing games. There really isn't like this ambition of like I'm trying to create a product. It's more of like I'm just really just enjoying spending time, playing a video game, chatting with people, and then sometimes whenever I'm online, I just want to watch videos, and so it would be things where it's like, hey, this video I thought was interesting, y'all might like it. Pardon me, I had a little hiccup there.
Yeah.
And so it's things where I kind of just shoot from the hip, and if it's something that I found was very enjoyable, passing time, and it's like, hey, y'all might like this, or like, oh, hey, like, check out this music video, or things of that nature, where I'm not trying to promote anything. I'm not trying to, like I said, there's really no product that I'm trying to create in terms of like when it comes to content. I just really, I'm enjoying my time and enjoying, so it's basically kind of just like something where it's like, well, hey, if we were hanging out, if you were like sitting next to me on a couch or something, this is probably what I'd be doing anyways.
Yes.
So we'd be playing a game, and then because there's times where I'll be playing the game and then get caught up telling some story, and or just press pause and we'll just be talking with chat, and so I mean there really isn't some sort of major direction as to like way this thing's going. It's more of just like, hey, come and hang out, like Lurker's Paradise, come lurk, like be a part of this.
Definitely. I think that again, you encapsulate that in one sentence, really, in terms of the fact that that's the type of vibe I get when I go to one of the Recluse's streams. Is that I do feel like I'm sitting down with you on your sofa, watching you play Final Fantasy VIII. Oh, screw it, let's go on YouTube. We're just gonna hang out, watch some rock videos, let's have a conversation. It's a really cool, chilled vibe, and we'll probably joke a bit about about the gifts and all that stuff as well, because again, it keeps everything lively. It's so chill. In a nutshell, that is what the Recluse, I feel, as a streamer, it feels like that's what it's about. And it's great.
Yeah, and like whenever we mentioned like Lurker's Paradise, like, there's no trademark to that name. I just use it all the time, and so that's why I've kind of like come to identify my stream as that. But if anybody's watching this and you want to pop in, you're not obligated to do anything. Like I said, all my commands, the gifts, everything, I keep it free. So that way, if you want to participate, you can. But at the same time, like you don't have to. Like I said, I've probably a few months ago, I would have been more putting energy towards like how do I get people to interact, to be more involved with it. And now it's a full embracing of just like, hey, you want me on in the background? Go ahead. It's and so we get the familiar characters will pop in and have their chance to chat and talk and everything, and we'll talk with them. If not, like there's been plenty of times where I've just been there for a good period of time where there's nothing going on in chat, and then all of a sudden there'll be some sort of chaotic explosion of gifts.
Yes, definitely. So do you have like a favorite like streaming memory, a favorite stream that you like to look back on?
There are a couple. It's hard for me to forget the first time that I got trolled. That was unique. And I don't know if you were a part of that stream or not. So it's like so that's a memory I'm gonna hold dear. There was a moment where, let's see, the first time I got raided is always a special one. Dizzy D actually did that. Yeah, and that's a unique one, which me and her actually chatted about like online, where it's like she just randomly selected me. And this was kind of like the moment where it kind of helped build my stream, because like I try to do this every now and then whenever I'm mindful enough to do it. Is like you find these like small streamers, and then you could change their entire attitude towards streaming by like that one raid, or like that one subscription, or or whatever type of support that you can offer to help support smaller streamers. Like she was doing her thing. I had no clue who she was at all. And then all of a sudden I'm playing Final Fantasy VIII, and then boom, I get a raid of like 30 something people. And at the time it was just one of those, I was just like, who is this? What's going on? Oh my God, thank you so much. And it stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah.
I remember like my first hype train, like I completely had lost for words.
Yeah.
Like that's like one of those things where it's so hard to show appreciation and to properly thank people that are actually supporting your stream.
Yeah.
And then like whenever you're playing and all of a sudden you get these subscriptions and you get the bits and you get all this sort of stuff, and it floors me every time. And whenever you have them happening in quick succession, it's just like my brain goes on overload. I'm just like the only thing that I can express is thank you.
Yeah.
But it feels like that's like not enough to really show like how appreciative I am of those things. So Miss Mackie Meow is a German streamer. She rated me with like a party of like 90 something people one time. That was really the game changer. That was the game changer, because whenever I got that raid, I had this massive amount of following. And I think I always look back to that moment as like whenever things really changed, because it went from, like whenever you first start streaming and people can have the ambition of becoming affiliate, and it is a uphill battle getting started and meeting the affiliate requirements.
Yeah.
And then it's like one of those ways, once you achieve that affiliate, things kind of start happening like a snowball effect, to where like you start to generate more exposure and more people kind of come to your stream type of thing. And that was one of those where I was like very, 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 very young in the streaming. And then Miss Mackie Meow, which, thank you so much, Mackie. That was one of those surprise raids that then her whole community seemed to fully embrace me. And it just shot everything through the roof. We got a jet flying over right now. So
perfect timing. Yeah, amazing.
But yeah, that one, and I'll say this, and to give credit to Lurker's Paradise, or my community, one of my recent favorite memories, I was doing a Final Fantasy VIII speedrun race, and it was like an international race. There was like I think 8 of us that were racing.
Yeah.
And at some point we had some people drop out of the race, and so there was like 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, I was
and the Cyanide Sugar was doing the commentary stream.
Yeah.
And so she, and I love all of you for this. This was so epic. It was so epic. So she had all of everybody's streams on her stream.
Yes.
And so if you were watching hers, you would see Final Fantasy VIII speedrun, and everybody had very, the timer, and some people had like a little window capture, of themselves playing. And then you had my stream with all the stream avatars running all over the place, and then just the constant GIFs going off and the sounds going off. It was so amazing, because it's like one of those where I went back and watched Cyanide's stream, like her VOD of the commentary stream, and you could just see her chat getting blown up with like, whose stream is that in the top right corner? Oh my God, what's going on with that over there?
Yeah.
And she would have this, was like, that's the Recluse. Because like I think there was a time that she clicked the audio over to our stream, and some of the more colorful sound alerts were going off.
Yeah.
So she would have to quickly abandon it, and so just like, oh my God, I love y'all so much. This is, and to me, it's that type of like viewer interaction chaos that I just, because to me it's a lot of fun to be someone who's viewing a stream that type of just chaos goes on. And sometimes I'm never going to advocate trolling anybody whatsoever, and I'm not trying to say that doing this is equivalent to trolling, but having those little mischievous moments of being able to kind of like submit commands that have very adult oriented type of like imagery or sound,
Yeah.
to where you can kind of feel like cheeky, like haha,
Yeah.
kind of like you're doing something, like you're putting a stick in the spoke kind of thing. I think it could be like a little cathartic release for some people to kind of like let loose and be mischievous, and so that's where like at my stream I find it hilarious at times, and so that's why whenever people do it, I just like openly embrace it.
Brilliant.
And
Love
so
it.
if my stream allows people to kind of do that, okay, yeah, let's have fun.
100%. Just one final quick question then. If you could give advice to anyone that is thinking of streaming, what would it be? Just quickly to wrap up.
If you want to stream, do it. Jump right into the deep end. Do it. You will overthink yourself to death if you want to try to format and create some sort of perfect platform. You're only going to learn by trial and error. I think every single streamer who starts off, you have this idea of what you're wanting to do and how it's going to come across. But until you actually go live, until you actually download these like programs and learn how to troubleshoot on the fly, and then go through the mistakes and go through like just learning the lessons the hard way, you're really never going to get it. And I think the most valuable thing to do is just to do it. Just to do it. Don't worry about the numbers. Don't worry. I would strongly recommend, don't try to think about getting famous or anything like that whatsoever. Have like for me, I've streamed to just pass the time, have fun with I'm having fun. All the other stuff that happens with it is like an ancillary benefit. So if you want to stream, do it. It does take that leap of faith. It takes a little bit to turn the camera on, go live, expose yourself to the world. When you make mistakes, everybody sees it. There's no editing or do-over. That's kind of just one of those where I think that the only way you gain that experience is by simply doing it. And if you are somebody who is starting off, find a way to let me know, and I'll try to help best I can, and help try to support. But you have to take that leap. You have to do it. And so that would be my advice. Just like, hey, YOLO, just send it. Go for it.
Done right. Perfect time to play him a second time there as well. Go for it.
Oh, you hear it?
Yeah. Brilliant. Recluse, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. That's all the questions, man. That's all good. This is
at some point, like I forgot we were even doing like some sort of like little interview thing. I was just,
right?
Just having fun chatting. Yeah, just chatting. I love what you're doing with this, man. Like I want to say I hope this grows, but I know it's gonna grow. This is like a really, really, really awesome thing that you're doing. And I love the format you have set up with it. And I'll say, like, you made it extremely easy for me to feel comfortable and start blabbing on about all kinds of, whether it's family video game stories or personal things about my stream, whatever maybe. That I wish you nothing but the best, but I know it's going to take off, and this is an awesome thing that you have going on.
Oh, thank you, mate. Thank you. So everyone, give Twitch, go to Twitch and follow this fantastic gentleman, _Recluse on Twitch. You're not on social media, just on Twitch, really, aren't you?
No social media. That's a whole nother can of worms.
Won't go there.
That I would say. Yeah. But before I do go, I want to say I need to give a shout out. So underneath me, there is this banner. Like we talked the logo and all that stuff.
That way.
WimblyD. Yeah, WimblyD. Yeah, or that way. Okay, yeah. WimblyD. WimblyD is amazing. She does, or she did my emotes. She did my starting soon screen, my be right back screen. And she created this banner in less than an hour for this interview. So Wimbly, I love you so much. You are amazing, amazing, amazing. And if anybody needs any sort of, I would say, graphical design type of work or WimblyD is the person that I will send everybody to. So I want to make sure I give her that shout out because I reached out to her at a last minute type of thing. And so that's like, she's incredible.
Brilliant. Everyone, the Recluse, thank you so much, my dude. That's it. I'll see you all for the next episode.
All right.
Take care. Bye bye.